everybody, I'm Jen,
And I'm Tammy.
and they call us Woo.
Welcome back, everybody. We are excited to talk to you more regularly again. And we were having a conversation the other day about this process that we're going through in this life of learning to allow, which is arguably, in my perspective, one of the hardest things that I've had to learn when it comes
Mm.
to connection and guidance and just allowing things to happen, allowing them to come into my energy fields, understanding when I'm blocking them without consciously realizing it, all these other fun things. So, anyway, we were kind of talking about how sometimes there's this little bit of a push and pull, like you are learning how to allow, and then also you have these moments of something needs to happen, and you're stuck with like, do I allow or do I push right now? And so
Yeah.
we were talking about how this seems to come up, and we very much want people to understand that being very connected to your guidance doesn't necessarily mean that you don't still have this like juxtaposition or this very non-linear. It's not like I'm connected and now I just know everything and I'm at peace all the time. Like we still sign up to be in this life and have lots of different experiences. So anyway, that's kind of what we're talking about today, is just this like push and pull sometimes between allowing and receiving, or pushing because that's something that is a step that we need to take in this process now to get things the way that it needs to happen, or clear something out, or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. So, as you were talking, I was thinking about it sounds like this weird cosmic tug of war that we're playing, where we get guidance in one direction, but then we aren't sure what to do with that information. And for me, I know that when that's coming up, it's because I'm stepping into a role of trying to control what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not fully allowing. I'm receiving the guidance, I'm receiving the information, but then my human self is like, okay, now I have to do it. Now I have to take care of it. I have to make sure that it gets taken care of and it's done. So then I'm like, okay, do I need to act or do I need to be passive and sit there? And in either one of those circumstances, I'm still trying to control what's happening. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
allowing it to happen. It's like, oh, well, I have to make myself sit here and wait for this thing and be patient. That is not my best thing. Um, if it's me actively doing something and going out in there and forcing something to happen and pushing and pushing and pushing until it happens, that's me trying to control the situation. And
Mm-hmm.
then the other part of that is if I'm just sitting and just being patient, it's forcing myself, controlling myself, making myself just sit there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think what you were talking about is getting yourself to that place of allowing things to happen. And when we were talking about this before, you had brought up how sometimes it's allowing yourself to be present. And when you're
Mm-hmm.
being present, you're allowing yourself to enjoy what's happening in life. And I think that that's part of this conversation. Instead of controlling everything, it's allowing yourself to be there and experience what's happening and making decisions in that moment that are going to lead you to the guidance that you received.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. In the context of what I was talking, or kind of how this came up when we were talking, for me, it's, I think sometimes the excitement, because there's so many things that I know are happening and things that are lined up for me and things that I really enjoy. It doesn't mean though, like for me, it's also this like expansive wellness center that I'm working on right now. So there is this like balance between getting the things done that you know are the next step for you versus like questioning whether or not guidance is telling you to do this thing now, or like waffling. um and for me it's also like things, because when you're following your guidance, it's never just about one thing, right? Like you unravel all this stuff
Yeah.
about business or money or relationships, and it always unravels to something that's interconnected to all these other parts of you in your soul level
Hmm.
and things that you wanted to learn about yourself. So for me, every time something like this comes up, it's always connected to a lot of different things. And there's this point where there's this like energetic pressure I've put on myself with things that I at one time thought I could do all the things at once, and that was how I felt like I needed to operate in this life, that I needed to do all the things and I needed to present myself as someone who could do all the things, which connects to a bunch of other stuff. But long story short, so there's this one specific thing that I'm working on right now that is related to my business, but now that I've recognized that it's holding, like I'm holding a lot of space for this energy that it's time to be done with. Like at one point, it seemed to be part of my experience and that was fine. Now I recognize I don't want that anymore. And there's other things that I know are going to fill up that space in a way that's so much more beautiful than how I feel about this thing right now. So it's like things that need to physically be completed that also are this energetic movement for me to move that off of my plate, create more space for other things for my personal life and my business life. So then you get to this point. So part of this whole journey for me was also like ask for help. Stop waiting until you have everything right and then ask for help, and ask for help when you need it. So I did, and I felt really great about doing that, and that definitely helped me move some energetic things. But that help that I received, the timeline is not the way that I thought the timeline was going to be for that individual who's working with me. So then you get in this weird spot of like, okay, for me it was like, is part of my lesson also making sure that I am letting people know, like I have, this is what I need and I have this expectation. Can we do this together? Or is this part of like, stop being so worried about that you handed it to somebody else, let it be what it's going to be. So that's where sometimes I get into like the weeds with it, where I'm like, okay, what part of this is this about? And the thing is if I just, allow information to come through, sometimes I'll get information. Sometimes it's more like the quiet just needs to be the quiet.
Yep.
And I don't need to do anything. So that's where you start to get in these like moments of, I'm so excited for what's happening, and I'm really working towards being more fully present and enjoying the process. But I'm so ready for that piece of like kind of stagnant energy to be moved off me, and I'm so excited for that part to be done that it's like I get excited and I'm like, can we just do it now?
Yeah.
Now I understand divine timing isn't what I think timing is all the time, but I'm just ready for it to be done.
Hmm. Yeah. That's I'm getting this picture of me doing art projects because I love doing art projects. And sometimes while I'm doing art, I get very impatient with allowing things to dry, especially if there's glue involved or there's paint involved. And I just want to move forward and I just want to do the next step. And I sit there staring at it. When are you going to be dry? And then I'll touch it. And then I'll touch it again. And then I'll touch it again just to see if it's dry yet. It's never dry. And then I have to wait until the next day. And that's how I feel like guidance is sometimes. It's like I have this vision of what I'm there to do. I don't know the plan because it's not mine to know, but I have this vision. And so I start the art piece and I know where it's going, but I need to follow the timeline of the present moment. And I can't wrap my head around that sometimes. So I just keep touching the paint. Like, which is funny because I did that the other day. I was putting up trim boards and I was short a couple of trim boards and I needed to stain them. And I stained them and I had like 30 minutes before I was supposed to be leaving. And I was like, I can just stain them and hang them. I can just hang them on the wall. I can just stain them and hang them. And I'm like, they need to dry. They need to dry. Go do something else and let them dry for a little bit. This is my impatience. This is my lesson to be learned in being present and allowing myself to experience the fullness of all these things. But that's what it is. It's like I just keep poking at it and hoping that I can move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like in those quiet moments, there's often a lot of downloads and insight that come in, especially as the timeline lines itself up. And sometimes I do forget that other people are involved in this too. And there's also things that might be playing out for someone else to receive as I am, waiting for this piece of it too. But then there's also the piece too where I'm like, I know that when you are fully enjoying things, the things that you want come to you faster because you are just in the right openness to receive all of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, do you ever get on those like crazy cleaning sprees where it's, for me, sometimes it's this like really good way for me to clear energy out and just feel better. And it's like one of those where you're like, you've gotten to this closet that you realize you've been putting off for so long and it's just a mess and you are so ready to do it and you're ready to be done with it and you've been on this cleaning spree the whole day and then you realize like you don't have the right things that you need to get it done. Like maybe you need an organizer that you don't have yet, or it's late at night and everyone wants to go to bed and they're tired of you making noise or whatever. Like there's just these components to it where you're just like, I see how much I want to clean this out and I can't. And that is a little hard sometimes. And I do find myself defaulting to asking for guidance, but also like if you keep asking the same thing over and over again, your guides are eventually like, I'm not going to keep answering this question for you.
Girl, I already told you.
Yeah. Or like maybe I will, but it's going to be the same answer and you might not get like the complete answer that you're looking for. So I always feel better when I ask for guidance, and sometimes I'll reframe it because maybe it'll occur to me like, I don't know that I've been as clear with my intentions or whatever, and maybe I'll get a little extra piece of information. Maybe sometimes it's just like, this is just what you have right now and you need to be okay with that because there's other things that are playing out. But that part is interesting sometimes. And I will say that like this point in my life with the connection I have has been the most fulfilling and beautiful and loving phase of my life that I've ever been in this lifetime. So everything is totally worth it, but it's also arguably been like the hardest adventure I think I've ever been on, because it's about so much more than just here's a problem, here's a solution, let's just do the things to get to the solution. There's so many other layers that uncover, and there's so many different ways that we're connected, which is quite beautiful. And then there's these moments where you're like, I am intellectually aware of all of those things, but I'm having a hard time like sitting here knowing that what I want is so close and enjoying this moment and time instead of being there,
Yeah. Well, so you brought up asking for guidance in different ways. And I think a lot of us struggle with that because we're like, just tell me the answer. Just tell me the answer. Just answer my question. And I have often had to go back and say, okay, what do I need to know in this moment? What do I need to know right now? I'm not going to ask you that question again, but what do I need to know in this moment so that I can move forward and feel like I'm doing something to complete the goal that I started or the thing that I started doing. And I think for me, that's helpful because it gives me something to work toward other than sitting there and trying to be patient when I'm struggling to be patient.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps me to get into that place of, okay, I can do something and I can be patient for this other part of it and still listen to guidance. Because I think sometimes for me, if I'm feeling like things aren't moving forward the way that I want them to move forward, I start to go down that weird spiral of, well, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not getting the guidance anymore. Like, I'm not receiving the next step, like the step that I can take right now. Am I supposed to turn around? Am I supposed to go back? Am I supposed to go do something else instead of that step of patience, which my guides often don't tell me to be patient anymore. They will say, they will tell me that they're not giving me more information on something, or they'll give me something else that I can do that allows me to sit in patience with that specific situation. But it will be a next step for me to do, like, um, instead of sit and be patient, it's sit and rest, or sit and take care of your nutrition, or go exercise, do something physical. Like, the guidance I will receive is about caring for myself and allowing myself to be in those moments. And it kind of distracts me from the, oh, you're supposed to be being patient right now. It gives me something to do in that time of patience and teaches me that patience isn't about sitting and waiting and doing nothing. It's about sitting in that moment and caring for the situation and caring for
Mm-hmm.
yourself and like being present with your life and what you need.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's been really beneficial for me. And it's not that I can't be patient, because I am learning patience. As much as I joke that I'm super impatient, I'm not a super impatient person. It's just when I want to do something, I want to do something. But I've learned how to be present in that moment of patience with caring for myself and caring for my life, rather than just being like, doo doo, twiddle my thumbs. I'm just going to sit here and do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, even when you look at all of the different like spiritual or manifestation or whatever people talk about, like the things that you really desire, well, first of all, going through the process of allowing yourself to see the blocks where they might have, you might have subconsciously been blocking something, even though you consciously were like, I want this thing. Your actions or energy might have been different.
Yeah.
So sometimes it takes a while to process through all those things to be a match for that thing that you want. But being a match for that thing you want, most of them talk about there is this space, like this infinite receiving one I was listening to not that long ago was talking about the wobble, and she said she often felt like the good things happened that she wanted right after that, but it was that space and time when you have the idea, you're excited about the idea, you've put it out there, you're doing all the work to like get yourself prepared for this thing, and then there's this quiet space where all of a sudden, like, because it doesn't seem like things are moving, you
Mm-hmm.
start to waffle back and forth, and that's
Yep.
like where you get to decide if this thing was really exactly what you want, and if you want to double down, or if you're like, well, no, maybe this isn't the right thing for me, I'm just going to go do something else. Because I
Mm-hmm.
do think sometimes we can do that too, in any form of spiritual belief system, where if we haven't 1000% said it inside of ourselves, like, this is the thing that I want, I know this is aligned for me, I know this is the direction I'm heading, those moments can, of like asking for guidance over and over again, or praying a lot or whatever, sometimes we can also have the tendency to be like, oh, well, this just must be, you know, guidance or God or whatever telling me that this isn't the right thing for me, and I'm just
Mm-hmm.
going to move on and do something else or whatever. It's like then we take our power out of it too sometimes and just go, well, I'm just going to go in every direction that this is taking me because it must not be right. Even though that might not be what's
Yeah.
actually happening. It might be that you just need a
Mm.
little time and space to settle in, reaffirm these things that you know are your desires or you know you're aligned with, and allow for the opportunity for things to continue to be arranged for you. Because if things continually are being rearranged over and over and over again because this thing didn't happen instantly, you're like, okay, I'm on to the next thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard for the universe to give you what you want. I mean, of course, the universe can do whatever it wants to do, but that means that you
Yeah.
haven't fully committed to the thing that you wanted either.
Yeah.
And and usually for me anyway, that was connected to deeper feelings of like whether or not I felt worthy of the thing or whether I trusted myself or whatever. So it's always linked to something deeper. So sometimes it's just like needing to understand, like, okay, well, you do trust yourself. You do know this is the right thing. You feel amazing when you're connected to this thing. There should be no reason you change your mind about this.
Yeah.
Let's just see how this rolls out. And let's, like you said, let's do other things that feel good and supportive to ourselves right now as we're letting this whole thing process. Because I've had that moment too where I've been like, oh, well, maybe it's just not the right thing for me. And that isn't necessarily true.
Yeah. Well, that brought up a long time ago in a land far, far away when Jen was young and 18 years old or 19 years old. Somebody asked me to be part of a company that I wanted nothing to do with being part of the company. But in my young wisdom, I didn't know how to say no. And it was very funny because they invited me to this event to hear about wellness products because I'm a massage therapist and they wanted me to use them in my company. And I was like, sure, I'll come to this event, whatever. And every ounce of guidance that I was receiving was, this is not for you. What are you doing? Where are you going? Why are you doing this? You don't want to do this. And I was like, no, sure, this will be great. This would be so helpful for my clients. And I convinced myself that this is what I wanted to do. And I wanted to go and be excited. And so I head out of the house. I am driving down the road to go to this event. And the event was at like 7 o'clock at night. And I'm driving and I get stuck in traffic. And I'm like, what the heck? Okay, I'm stuck in traffic. It's fine. I'm still going to get there on time. And then I continue driving. And all of a sudden, my GPS is telling me to go in like 20 different directions. And I get lost. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I'm like, no, I'm supposed to go to this. It's great. Meanwhile, my guidance is telling me this is not right for you. And thing after thing after thing, like there's a car accident, there's more traffic, I'm more lost, I'm all over the place. And I finally stopped and I was in this space of, okay, this is what I need to do, this is what I want to do. But I had that moment, that wobble. I mean, this is a little bit off, like I was trying to do something that I knew I shouldn't be doing, or that I knew I didn't want to be doing. But it was like this wobble of, okay, all of these things are happening. I'm going to reassess. I'm going to listen. Is this really where I'm meant to be going? And I ended up calling the people and telling them, I'm not coming. And I didn't want to say no. And so I said, the universe just is telling me that I can't go. I've ran into so many roadblocks and I totally used it as a cop out. And in that moment, I was like, oh, I need to listen and not do the things that I don't want to do. And I recognized it in that moment. And then the next time something like that came up, I still said yes because I didn't want to say no. But as you brought up that wobble, that waffling, it triggered that memory for me. Like, okay, yeah, there are moments where you get to stop and choose, and it's okay to choose differently and to change your mind if you recognize that you're not on the right path or that's not the path you want to be on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that sometimes listening to our guidance isn't as easy as we want it to be, Like we
Right.
hear things, but then our human self is like, no, 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 no. I can get so much out of this if I do this. This is what I want to do. I'm so excited to do this. But it's not where your heart's calling you. It's not
Mm-hmm.
where your soul's calling you. And yeah, it's good to take a step back and actually reassess
Mm-hmm.
and listen to the traffic jams and the getting lost and the things that are in the way
Yes.
that are giving you pause.
Well, and I do think that's also where you get the distinction between, because some of these wobbles and stuff I felt have not changed even one
Mhm.
bit the feeling I've had inside that this is the right direction.
Yeah.
So those moments are good for reassessing whether or not, like you said, this feels like, do you feel that certainty deep inside of you? And it's a way that you
Mhm.
can't really explain. Like, it's kind of funny because as I've been doing all this, we were talking earlier about this too. Like, my path and my partner's path, who is also super woo like me, is not as linear as a lot of business people's paths are to getting what we want.
Mhm.
It's going with the steps that guidance is telling us to go with at the time. And if we're not getting an answer for that, taking the time to like go through, some of the other things and just kind of figure it out. Um, but I have never, I've never not felt like it wasn't going to happen. Like you
Yeah.
said, the plan or the how is not my concern. It's knowing for sure that it's going to happen. But people don't always understand that either. Sometimes when
No.
they're like, well, have you done dot, dot, dot? And you're like, well, so I did this first. So, like, for us, I mean, the money isn't fully there yet. And everyone who doesn't understand this piece that we're working with as far as the energetic piece might be like, well, that's the first thing you do. And I'm like, in this case, we're being told pretty clearly it's not. Like, it'll be there. And we're trusting that it'll be there. We have no idea exactly how it's going to be there. We have some thoughts of maybe how. Like, it's not like things haven't been presented to us like, oh, this could be an avenue or this could be an avenue. But we're certainly not clear on exactly where it's all coming from yet.
Hmm.
And that's something that most people would line up first. But this piece of me that's like, this is happening and there's
Hmm.
no reason that it's going to be stopped is what I go back to at the end of the day. And I'm like, okay, I know that. But now it's like this deep desire as, all of these like immense amount of layers have been peeled back for the last year to kind of like finish getting some of that stuff that I recognize was like hanging out on me. Like I said
Hmm.
earlier with you, like I'm not entirely sure how I held space for all these things for so long. Now that
Yeah.
it doesn't feel aligned to hold space for those things anymore because I all these other things are just waiting to fill up that space for me and I'm so excited for those things. And then it's like, okay, now we're having this moment of like, all right, it's like I have these moments of like running and then there's this break, like where you're just kind of sitting on the bench for a minute and you're like, okay, I mean, I see all these other things that want to line up after this, but do I need to be looking at those things as like a firm timeline? I don't know. Maybe that's part
Yeah.
of the thing that causes me to do this sometimes where I'm like, you get these other deadlines and stuff that pop up that need to be done by this certain time and I'm like, I don't know, do they though? Like, what is on the other side of that? I don't know. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I
Yeah.
want to hit that deadline because I think it would make me feel good, but is it ultimately the best way that this is going to work out? I don't know. I have no idea.
I
I will be
don't think
told
any of us
as it
do.
comes along, I guess. Like you said, information I need to know. That is something that you brought up that I thought was actually really helpful. I've had those moments too of rather than asking for the specific guidance, getting to a point where like, okay, what do I need to know right now? And
Yeah.
then waiting for that response. Because I did have a moment when I was like going through some of this, a couple weeks ago, asking all these questions when I was like, am I asking the right questions? And it was a no. And I'm like, okay. So you want to tell me what questions I should be asking? And that changed the perspective a little bit, where I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. So the things that I need to be asking really didn't have anything to do with that moment in time, what I thought I needed to know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's amazing and beautiful, and also sometimes, like, you scratch your head a little bit, but I still wouldn't trade it for anything else. I mean,
Yeah.
being in the place I am now is definitely a much better and lighter and more loving place. So yeah, it's just sometimes you're like, it's like one of those things where I know both of us have talked about this before, being in the massage industry, and when one of the people's favorite questions is, what do I do with my hands when they're laying face down? It's like that moment of like, you're sitting there and you're just supposed to relax. That's literally your only job. But you're like, well, where do I put these? Am I going to be in someone's way? Whatever. Like, it's
Jazz hands.
moments of like, what do I do with my hands while I'm trying to like relax?
To be clear, she's not talking about us as the massage therapist.
No.
She's talking about the client on the table. We know what to do with our hands.
We know what to do with our hands. Yes, thank you for clarifying that. It's a lot of times when people go from laying face up to face down and they want to know what to do with their arms or hands, or like where to put things to make it easier for us to do our work. Drape them
and stick them in the face cradle next to their face.
Well, and the funny thing is, if I listen to my own advice, I'm always like, do whatever feels comfortable for you. If we need to move them later, we will. That's always my answer. So that should be my answer to myself too. Like, do whatever's comfortable for you right now, and you'll figure it out as you go.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Oh yeah.
I actually had that weird hands moment today when I was at the physical therapist. I had my arms up on the table because it was like a table that it has the face hole in the actual table. It's not a separate face cradle. And so I had my arms above my head and I'm like, this is really uncomfortable. What are you doing? And she was doing dry needling. So she was putting needles in my back. And I was like, yeah, I need to put my arms down. So I quickly moved them and was like, okay, now I can be comfortable. Yikes.
Well,
anyway.
I mean, I know this was a conversation that didn't have any firm answers for people other than rest and follow your guidance the best you can. Yeah. But I thought it was a good conversation because I do think that people resonate with this idea that all of these adventures that we're on in this life are not linear. And just because you feel very connected to guidance and you get a lot of answers from guidance doesn't mean that you're not going to still have these moments of like kind of trying to figure things out as you go.
Yeah.
It's just the way things work. But it still doesn't mean that at the end of the day, when we've moved on to the other side, before we figure out what we're going to do next, that we're not going to look back and go like, wow, from this overarching perspective, like, look at all these cool things you got to do. Look at this moment. This moment felt weird, but that was a really cool experience I've never had before. And then from that, I got ... and this person got this and that. And so, I mean, it's all good in the end.
Yeah, I would urge people to sit down, and if you're struggling to figure out what your next step is, just sit down and ask that question. Like, what do I need to know in this moment? Ask your guides, ask your higher self, what do I need to know in this moment? And then ask yourself, what feels good to me right now? Because really, that's what it's about. Mm-hmm. What feels good, and how do you want to move forward? How do you want to feel in this moment?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So, share with us what your guidance system tells you when you ask those questions. I would love to hear it. So, any woozy woozy, we will talk to you all next week. We hope that you have a fantastic week, and I have nothing weird to say today.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye everybody.
If you want more woo, please feel free to check the links in the description. Of course, we love hearing from you, so keep letting us know all of your lovely ideas. Have a beautiful day, our wonderful woo mates.